Oh, okay. One of those things happen when with technology. Okay. So my mic was apparently off. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. You're welcome to our webinar this afternoon. It's really nice to have you here this this beautiful afternoon, beautiful Thursday afternoon. Our guests are in the studio, and they will be taking us through a lot of learning and trend today. We are really, really excited to be here today to have this conversation with you, this beautiful morning. A quick one before we proceed to inviting our guests into the studio. I really want to do a quick introduction. Marketing analytics is um, what the brand that is putting this webinar together. It's marketing analytics, and marketing analytics is a premier marketing um, intelligence company, and our aim is to democratize access to sophisticated data and marketing insights across the continent. And we we want to empower businesses of all sizes to make the data-driven decision with confidence. And we have a comprehensive suite of state-of-the-art marketing insights platform on our website. It's a go-to where you can read a lot of insights and a lot of articles that we publish on the platform. And we also conduct custom research for brands that are looking to have marketing insights and data around their marketing activities and their industry. We have an industry-led event where we share knowledge every year, called the African Marketing Technology. Uh, and also we consult for brands that are looking to uh, get more knowledge about their marketing activity and marketing related activity. And this morning, my name is Victor Ojakina. This morning, I'll be joined by uh, two very talented individuals who, over the years, have shown that who, who have shown and proven times without number that they have the deep knowledge of the African market, and of course, we'll be sharing some of this knowledge with us this morning, this afternoon, beg your pardon, on how you can how we can what are the trends to watch out for as an African marketer, and how you can begin to leverage on those trends to drive your marketing activity for the rest of the year. First on the list is Jesu Diton Onosoya. Jesu Diton, for many people, especially for those within the digital marketing, who run digital marketing in Lagos, in Nigeria, who at some point you would have probably had something to do with him. He's the regional lead for Sub-Saharan Africa for Aleph Group. Jason Ritter is a seasoned marketing and tech professional with over 12 years of experience. He has worked in emerging markets across 60 countries, including Sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East and North Africa, as well as Latin America. Currently, he leads the Meta and TikTok for business in Nigeria at Aleph Group, focusing on advancing Meta advertising as well as TikTok advertising across industry. He has extensive experts in cross-border and market expansion. He is a go-to expert for business looking to scale globally. Also joining us in the second section of our webinar this morning is Adora, who currently is the digital manager for Colgate Toleram. She's an award-winning uh, marketing expert, award-winning marketing professional with over 5 years experience in digital marketing and programmatic. She excels at creating brand marketing content and optimizing campaign strategy. She's the winner of the 2023 Young Lion West Africa Media Competition, and she has a track record of leveraging social media to and search engine optimization strategy to drive growth and performance. And if any of you have seen the Colgate where they use Colgate ads, where they use kids to the new Colgate ad, or the younger ads. Adora was the brain behind that ads, driving all of your digital. She was the brain driving all of the digital touch points for that campaign. So we are happy to have Adora on stage with us today. Without wasting our time, I would like to bring on stage Jason Deton, who will be going through, who will take the next a couple of minutes to run us through some of the trends that we are open to look out, and then we'll have conversation thereafter. Please, if you are joining this webinar, try as much as you can, drop your comments, drop your questions on the comment section. We are going to be taking as many questions as possible. This is not a one-to-many kind of conversation. It's going to be conversational. We are going to be having conversation on both, and I will try as much as you can to answer a lot of questions that are going to come up today. So just so the time, please, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Victor. It's such a great opportunity to be here, and I'm very thankful for it. And all to everyone connecting, wherever you're connecting from. I understand that some of this is streaming on the website, streaming on YouTube. Wherever you are, please use the comment section. Unless, like Victor said, let's make it very conversational. I'm going to try to share my screen now. And yes. Okay. I hope everyone can see my screen. You can just drop a comment if you can. All right, I can see myself, so it's great. So this is a very interesting conversation, and I'm very grateful for Market Analytics Africa for putting this together. I think it's a very, very timely and very good time to talk about something like this, because this is January. So if you've not really harmed yourself with such insights, it's not too late to start thinking in these directions. So 2025 marketing trends. How can you stay ahead as an African marketer? So we would look at some global, because I like to do global and then cascade down to obviously localize it a little bit so it's more relevant to our continent and our market. Before I get ahead of myself, I will try to do a little introduction. My name is Onosonya Jesudeta. For those who might struggle pronouncing my name, you can call me JD. I'm a regional lead for Aleph across sub-Saharan Africa. Essentially, my remit is making sure that we look after our partners for Meta across sub-Saharan Africa, and we have a whole number of partners as well across West Africa. And then I would just jump right into Aleph. For those of you that might not know Aleph, Aleph is the #1 reseller globally. We represent over 50 plus digital platforms. So if you can look at the list, Google, X, Meta, Snapchat, Microsoft, across several markets, but specific to Nigeria, we look after X, we look after TikTok, we looked after Spotify, we look after Snapchat, and Pinterest, which is not in this page, but yes. Some of you might know us as Dynamo. Dynamo has been around for over a decade. Recently, about 2 years ago, was acquired by Aleph, and Aleph has acquired a bunch of other partners as well. So Winmix is #1 globally. Aleph is as much as possible, is focused on emerging markets, and that's why this conversation is really key. We try to enter markets where the big companies don't want to go to, like Nigeria, for example. It's a very high risk market on many sides, and obviously the potential to grow is there, but you need obviously a lot of capital to be able to invest in this market. So Aleph does that job of going into the market, growing the market for these partners. Okay, now let's jump into it. So some of the key trends in 2025 I'm going to discuss today. Some of these trends will not be new in themselves, right? And again, I'm not trying to come here to share with you something that is exciting. I'm trying to share with you something that is very functional, something that you can use, that can become a critical pillar for success for whether you're a small business or whether you are a marketing manager in your company, something that you can hold on to that will become a cornerstone for all of your strategies, all of your marketing activities for 2025. So this may be some of them you already started in 2024 and continue into 2025. Some of them might be new, and some of them might even be something that you've always known, but obviously you can refresh your understanding of. So the first shift is not new at all, but I think this for me is number one thing that I see as a cornerstone, right? Which is a shift from traditional marketing to performance marketing. Note that I didn't say that it's a shift from traditional marketing to digital marketing. No, it's a shift from traditional marketing to performance marketing. And why is that? Performance marketing obviously makes sure that there's return on investment, right? And if you look at our economy today, if you look at even the global economy today, you see that there's no chance for wastage. Recently, at the inauguration of Trump, you discovered that Elon Musk was appointed as DOGE, as the director for DOGE, which is a Department of Government Efficiency. Everyone is driving efficiency. Last year, 2020, I think it was 2022 or 2023, I'm not sure now. Mark Zuckerberg said that year was going to be a year of efficiency. So efficiency is becoming a recurring theme across the years. I was in a meeting not too long ago, I think sometime late last year, with one of the key FMCG companies in Nigeria. And to be honest, I thought FMCGs usually just do brand campaigns, do awareness, do mass awareness. I was so shocked to see the CMO bring out his calculator and start to calculate how much am I going to get if I invest X amount. That is where we are going to. If you're a small business owner, you don't want to spend money not knowing what you're going to get back out of that money, right? So that means that everyone is moving to performance marketing. So if you're a business owner, you need to be thinking in this direction. If you're a marketing manager, you need to be thinking in this direction. Interesting thing is that even within the performance solution scope of things across multiple digital platforms, the likes of TikTok, Meta, and Google, there's sort of narrative around even having awareness. So they cannot really do performance efficiently without having a bit of awareness, because it's a funnel, right? So I'm allowed to share a few technical things, right? Because this is a masterclass. So it's a funnel. There's the awareness stage, and then there is obviously the consideration and the conversion stage. So if you're already doing lower funnel metrics, you need to fill that funnel with another activities, some top funnel activities as well. So within your performance marketing, you need to have a bit of awareness as well. Very, very key. So we're moving from things like just doing billboards. No, billboards are not going to go away, but even billboards are getting smarter now, right? We need to see before, if you're going to do your planning, you see how many eyeballs, saw this billboard, but there's nothing after that. How are you tracking them? How are they converting? What were the touch points before they converted? What platform did they convert on? What's the place of, your MMPs and things like that? Billboards will even start getting smarter, start getting more digital. All right. So we're moving from, if you look at the difference between performance marketing and traditional marketing, because of time, I won't go into it, but I'm sure you're looking at the screen and looking at those definitions. The important thing is that in performance, you can measure. You can see that this is the cost per acquisition. This is the ROAS, the return on ad spend, right? You can look at your what channels are driving the most cost-effective results for me, right? What is the cost, attached to this? If I'm going to do a billboard, I can decide and say, I'm going to give you my billboard for 4 million. Someone else can say it's a prime area. I'm going to give for 10 million, right? With digital, you don't have that. It's even playing field. It's a cost per impression, and that's what it is, right? Also the timing, the flexibility for timing. There's no time to remove a billboard creative if it's not performing. You don't even know if it's performing or not. So on digital, you can easily scale and flexibly make adjustments to your campaign, right? So let's look at some global performance marketing trends. I'm going to shift my conversations from just talking about global trends to performance marketing trends, because I already established that as a key pillar for 2025. I know we need to talk about AI, because that is but I'm not going to go into the buzz side of AI. but AI and automation is a must-have in 2025. You can see I'm sure some of you are following some of the news around what's happening on that side. There's been a $500 billion investments to drive Stargate project in the US, for example. That obviously cascades into Nigeria as well, because we're so connected. We're very good at consuming, so we're going to be beneficiaries of that as well in terms of usage and access, right? So AI and automation is one of the things that will obviously ring true in 2025. Most of the platforms, if not all, have already integrated some level of AI into your ads manager where you're running your campaigns. Meta has the Advantage Plus suite of solutions. TikTok has their own as well, their own Advantage Plus solution as well. Pinterest as well has their own as well. So everyone has sort of gone into that line of, every single time you might need to, have like 4, 5, 6 ad groups, have, 8, 10, 15, 16 ad sets and things like that. And you're optimizing all of them at once. It's too much, right? You need a system that can help you understand what's performing, what's not performing. And with very easy if statements can prioritize one campaign above the other, and you can understand your A/B testing, all that kind of stuff in one place. So there's a lot of automation there. There's personalization at scale. I'll talk more about that. The second thing as well is privacy first marketing. Remember that we're talking about a global trends now. We're going to go into regional ones, which obviously affects Africa more. So the privacy first marketing with all of the GDPR and things like that, if you remember, I think it was in 2022 when Apple released these updates where you could not target people who are using iOS devices, right? So that was a major concern for the likes of Meta and Google. But obviously, you see that everyone has found a way around it by obviously implementing this what we call collaborative filtering that allows you to match people that look like other people that already opted into being tracked on Apple. So that has been solved, right? But again, we're going to see marketers shift to strategies that are more privacy friendly. And one of those tactics is, I don't know if you've heard the buzzwords, but one of those tactics is called zero party data. So we know about third party data, we know about second party data, first party data, but now there's zero party data. And zero party data just means that this is data that is privacy friendly. It is data that is freely shared by the user or the customer. It's also data that gives you a lot of contextual understanding of the user, things that is very true. Because sometimes you see that some of the data that is gotten from third party data is not usually accurate because it was gotten when maybe, for example, my daughter was using my phone, and then you think it's me, right? But you're interpreting that data wrongly because that data becomes skewed. Or you borrow someone your PC, or you borrow someone your device, or something like that, and then they do some actions, and you think that that's the person. So you're getting wrong data for a separate profile. So those are some of the things that are changing. Also, video content is obviously going to continue to be king, right? So obviously the likes of YouTube and TikTok are driving that engagement. Another important thing that's going to be happening is social commerce. Social commerce is going to take center stage. And obviously that means that obviously you can now shop. Right now, for example, we just launched TikTok in Nigeria about I think it was the last 2 weeks in December. And one of the things that will be coming to TikTok as well, maybe sometime in Q2 or Q3, would be TikTok shops. And TikTok shops, for example, is doing very, very well in the UK and the US. It's doing very well in other markets as well. You can see products and buy them right there on TikTok, right? So that's going to be revolutionary for e-commerce businesses. So you don't have to even host a different e-commerce sites or go through the process of, TikTok is about entertainment, right? So you want to leave all of that experience within TikTok, and then, the ad takes you away from TikTok. It breaks that experience. So those kind of things are going to happen more. The likes of also omni strategies, obviously making sure there's a seamless experience across different platforms. And obviously ethical marketing, for example. We have, for example, in Nigeria, we have, regulatory some more heightened focus on regulatory, what's acceptable, even globally as well. There's been a lot of, buzz in the EU about, age gating, certain kinds of ads, or even social media in its entirety, right? So some age categories below 18 are not even allowed to be on social media, or they have specific accounts. So each platform is dealing with that separately. So that's, if you look at regional, just because of time, because if you look at the regional trends, number one is mobile first approach. Nigeria is 100% mobile first country, which means that if your content or whatever you're optimizing for is not optimized for mobile, you're doing it wrong, because it's 100% mobile first company. So mobile first strategies are essential to reaching your targeted audience, localizing your strategies for those of you who work in like global companies where you guys have a central hub for strategy and for brand strategy and things like that. It's very important to localize those things to your markets. So we're going to see more of that. Obviously, ads in local languages and things like that. Social media influence, we will continue, obviously. This is where people are going to make decisions. Very important decisions about their lives will be driven by what they see on social media. So as a brand, you want to be at the forefront of that. You want to make sure that you are the ones, your product is taken as preference. E-commerce growth, like I mentioned, will continue in Nigeria and also in Africa. Programmatic advertising will also take center stage because it gives you, that's solid reach and access across like multiple platforms and things like that. And obviously data and privacy compliance, we already are seeing that in the likes of Nigeria. It's going to obviously continue in other markets. Because of time, I just wanted to share a few things that I think are important for you to stay ahead as a digital marketer in Africa. One of those is efficiency and accuracy. I already talked about that a little bit. And that's that you need to move from a mindset of, spray and pray. You need to come to a mindset of, how do I know for a fact that if I spend $20, I would make $100, right? How can I guarantee that? Do I have a strategy, a playbook that works, right? It's going to be, your level of expertise is going to be determined by how you're able to, accurately, determine what results you will get, right? So, and I call that digital maturity. So digital maturity can be for you as a person in terms of your career path. It can also be for you as a business. How digitally mature is the brand you're working for, or your brand if you're a business owner? And I want to quickly play this video for you. Please just let me know if you can hear the audio. I hope you can hear the audio.
Hi there. The time to act is now. Warm, white, sandy beaches and clear blue water is one click away.
I booked this vacation on the website yesterday. You sent me a confirmation email.
I did what now? Can't believe we're going to the beach. This is fantastic. Hey, do you maybe want to book a second one? Let's keep this momentum going. We're so glad you chose us for your rest and relaxation. Let us know how your stay was and come back to visit us again real soon.
I just got here. And the air conditioner's broken.
Brace yourself for this exciting offer. We heard you were coming and wanted to invite you to a complimentary couples massage and spa day.
I've brought my kids with me on this trip for the past 5 years. Is it also a couple of kids massage?
I think there's like an arcade. How was the trip?
I got blindsided by hidden fees, no air conditioning, and your incessant emails stressed me out. You know how my trip went.
I did stumble across a few emails you exchanged with our customer service team and some tasteful yet righteously indignant tweets. But would you say you liked it or you loved it? Wow, you look like you could use a vacation. Have you seen our beach deals?
So this is some of this is how a lot of businesses, a lot of customers see our marketing, right? Customers are expecting that you know what their preferences are. They want personalization at scale, right? How are you leveraging data? You know, um, and I mean, essentially, you just don't spray and pray. You keep sending emails blindly. You don't actually focus on the core about knowing who the customer is, what their persona is, and things like that. So digital maturity, like I said, is about your ability to leverage different tool sets within different technologies to deliver. It must be seamless. It must be customer centric, and obviously there must be measurable outcomes to that. My time is fast spent. I just want to quickly touch on maybe one other thing. This is some of the key pillars for digital marketing maturity. One is data insights. And thankfully, you're right now connected to Marketing Analytics Africa. So there's so much resource that you can get that can help you get up to speed in terms of data and insights. Technology and AI, you need to leverage AI to optimize for predictive analytics, for hyper personalization, like I mentioned earlier. So you need to invest in automation tools. You need to invest in automated workflows to help you achieve those. Content and channels also very important. A few partners have reached out to me that offer like, for example, UGC at scale. For example, TikTok also just launched something called the TTCX. It's called the TikTok Creative Exchange. It allows you to be able to access creator content, for example, for your ads. So, a lot of brands are trying to get influencers, right? You're trying to get influencers for your brands, and sometimes it's very difficult to decide what influencer you need to use and things like that. Will they deliver results? So with TTCX, you actually have an exchange that allows you to access creators that can create content for your brand right there on TikTok, on a TikTok Ads Manager. And it's also paid for by TikTok. So you don't actually pay for it. You just need to invest in terms of ads. Whatever money you put in, right? Obviously there are thresholds, but whatever money you put in goes to to the creator and also goes to your ads. So you're not paying an extra for accessing this creative exchange. Measurement and optimization also is very key, and I think I'll end on that note. Peter Drucker says that whatever gets measured gets improved. You cannot actually improve something that is not measured, because how would we improve on yesterday when we don't know exactly what happened yesterday? So it's very important for you to have a measurement strategy in place. If you're a brand, you need to do brand lift studies. If you're a performance side, you need to do conversion lift studies. All our platforms allow you to do that, Meta, TikTok, and the likes. And also you can also use like your MMPs like AppsFlyer, Singular, Adjust, and the likes of that. There are many resources out there to help you crystallize this thinking and this thought pattern. Okay, I'll end here, and I hope you learned one or two things. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, this has really been insightful. Thank you so much, Jesuliton. And I'm really happy that we're having this conversation. Like you did mention at the end of your presentation, measurements, it's key. It's very, very important. And I'm also going to be bringing Adora into this conversation at this point, because there were a couple of things that you mentioned, and it just kind of like brought me back to especially the campaign that they had to run last year with the kids. That was some very interesting one from a Nigerian brand. So I had a lot to write on my notepad here. But there was something that you mentioned, which is very, very important. So there was a conversation around personalization, right? And the fact that also a lot of the attention span of the average person, especially on the digital space, is very, very limited, right? Nobody wants to sit down and watch your entire video if it's not going to be very, very interesting. So how do you advise marketers to create campaign that that can break through that short attention span of the average target audience they are trying to reach across the different spectrum. How do you create a campaign that capture and hold the audience attention from the beginning to the finish?
Okay, I'll touch on that, and maybe Adora can share a few ideas as well, because she's like
Absolutely.
because I think that ad you mentioned actually caught my attention. An interesting thing about that ad is that sometimes my kid watches cartoons on the TV, and I haven't done YouTube Premium. So sometimes when it goes to the ad, she usually cries and like, "Oh, this thing is disturbing my experience." But when she sees that ad, she doesn't. She loves the ad, right? So she watches it as content as well, which is interesting. So I'll allow Adora to speak to you, but let me just touch on a few strategies, right? One is you need to understand the platform that you're running on, right? The likes of X allows long form content, right? So Elon is thinking differently. He thinks that it's a lie that people have short attention span, right? So there are 3-hour videos on X, for example, right, that you can watch. So if you're on X, you can do long form content. But if you're on Meta and you do long form content, in fact, you will not even get the reach that you need, right? If you're doing an organic post. So you need to keep your videos within 3 minutes for reels. But I wouldn't advise using an ad. It needs to be less than 30 seconds, max 30 seconds. And when you are obviously creating your video, you need to front load the story arc. So you need to get your message and your hook really, really ahead in the beginning, right? Because like you mentioned, I'm scrolling. The experience for reels and especially even for TikTok is I'm scrolling, right? I have only a few seconds to make up my mind if I want to continue scrolling or watch your content. But if you let the hook start early, for example, an example of an hook is, let's say, for example, let's say I slap somebody. I'm just giving an example, right? And this is not a good brand example. Let's say I slap somebody, right? You want to see what happens. Did they retaliate? Did they slap back? Did the person fall down and faint? Whatever happened. So that's a hook. That's an example of a hook. So you need to have a hook and front load your story arc, bring that to the fore. Then also make sure your brand is seen, because sometimes they might watch the video for 5 seconds, right? And then if you don't represent your brand, they lose the fact that it came from your brand. Then also, if you look at a platform like Spotify, Spotify doesn't allow you to go to the content, right? You must actually listen or watch the ad, true and true, right? So that's an advantage. So each platform has the advantages, and some of them, obviously, you need to front load your story arc, like I mentioned.
Thank you so much for that. Oh, Adora, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I was saying that I have my pen when JD was speaking. I had to take notes of lots of things because it was actually very insightful for me myself. When it comes to video, I mean, we're having that conversation in the office yesterday. If your video asset is good, I mean, it can work, for best practices, we always say have it cut down, have different cut down variations, 30 seconds, 6 seconds. Interestingly, because I know we all agree that, the let's have it talk video was actually a good one. Lots of kids love it. My kids love it. Anytime they see, they're like, "Mommy, come see Colgate." It's actually a very interesting video, so it would capture attention. We saw amazing results when it comes to our digital metrics in for our VTR. VTR was very great. I think that's the highest VTR we've seen in any video the brand has done. Having a VTR of over 50 something percent for a 1 minute video that is being promoted, it just speaks to the fact that the video asset in itself is actually very, very great. Again, for platform choices, I know we're big on YouTube, big on Meta. We even ran a BLS health check to see whether people can recall the brand and all that. There was something JD had mentioned from the beginning of his presentation, which I had to pen down. Very interesting. For brands are pushing, moving from just awareness to performance to results. Now, I know for digital, a lot of us will say, okay, it's difficult. do we use digital to drive recall, or do we use digital to drive, performance? How do we, everything all boils down to, your brand objective. So I'm using Colgate as an example. Most times we run campaigns, it goes beyond, okay, these are the number of impressions, these are the number, we try to tie, the digital objective, digital KPI to the brand goals and objective. At the end of the campaign, we are trying to look, okay, did we grow penetration? Did we grow trauma? Did we grow, spontaneous awareness? That still ties back to, what JD was trying to say, where there's a shift to, performance marketing. Now, in 2024, we launched our campaign. We went into Big Brother. At the end of, I don't know if you also saw our Brush Indulge campaign as well, during the Christmas holiday. So what I'm just trying to establish the fact that, at the end of all of these executions, we try to check, okay, yes, we've gotten the digital metrics, oh, it did well. We tie it back to, the business goals and objective. Did Toma increase at the end of the day? That way, it shows that, digital is working. Is it working or not? Is it, because we ask people questions, with the help of the insight team, ask questions like, do you recall seeing this ad on any of the social media platforms, on TV, on this? And then we actually saw a lift, in responses. We actually gained, a very high increase in our TOMA. That also helped us know that, okay, yes, digital is working. We measure all those things from business points of view. So yeah, I just wanted to touch back on what he said, on the shift to, performance, and how we actually track and check performance on the business side as well.
Uh, Interestingly, my next question to you was going to be around that. You already mentioned that actually drove some KPIs, some
Yeah.
brand good for the brand. I'll ask my next question, then we'll go on the comment section to ask some questions, because I can see some very interesting question on the comments section on the webinar. So basically, my next question is this: when you think of the campaign that's Colgate ran last year, JD mentioned something around transparency and becoming a major thing. So in this current age where a lot of people are shouting transparency, where transparency matters, right? How should brand ensure that a customer trust them, and not just in a situation where they run a campaign and just gets people to use their brand? How should brand ensure trust, drive trust across their various campaign and touch points majorly?
Okay, I mean, everything works. So what we did, I'm just going to make it very practical. So what we did was, we had a good campaign. We were able to educate people, let people see, what our brand is all about. And in the same vein, we were, creating experience for people. We go, BTL leg of it. We make sure people experience the products. Yes. So the aim of the ad is also to drive penetration in the market, right? People see it and then they say, oh, okay, I switched from this brand to this brand after, seeing the ad, maybe from BBN, because shortly after the campaign launched, BBN came. So, and that was our first time on the platform. So we saw a lot of people switching from their product to, Colgate's, and all that. So again, what we try to do is, we also try to, we started this neighborhood sampling as well. We are trying to make sure that, before the end of the year, we try to touch all neighborhoods. across the country. Though we're starting with Lagos State, we go from neighborhood to neighborhood to let people, it's not just about the ad. We're also doing some groundwork. That's what I'm trying to, explain at the end of the day. It's not just about the ad. Yeah, the ad has sold people one packs and all that, but we try to, let you experience the brand. So again, like they will always say, for anything to work, you always have to go through the 360 approach. Let people also experience the brand, which is what we are currently working on. Um we've covered over 100 neighborhoods in space of 1 month, and we are still getting there. We just want people to taste, feel, the product, that this product is actually damn good. It's not just about the ad, it's actually a very good product. I hope I was able to answer that.
Okay, maybe I should also allow JD to say one or two things about that.
Yes, I mean, in terms of transparency and all of that, like I mentioned, a lot of brands are not honest about what they're doing with their data, how they're collecting data, and things like that, right? So, for example, if you run a telco, for example, I'm not going to name names, but if you run a telco, you have access to a lot of data. You know how much data people are loading. You know how much they're recharging. You know where they are, because basically wherever they're closest to a mast, you know that, okay, this is where this person is. This is where this person spends a lot of time. This person spends a lot of time around ECOE, VI. So most likely they are, maybe an HNI or something like that. Or this person is in Ojuelegba, Makoko. You know that this person, okay, the income bracket. There's a lot of data that you have. And I think that, the reason why there's a lot of, issues with the GDPR and NDPR and things like this is because you have the data, but, the customer, the user does not know that you're collecting his data. Because when my phone is on, I'm not saying, someone knows where I am, But I think what we need, that's what I was talking about, zero-party data. It's data that people freely give, right? For example, when you open in Pinterest for the first time and you sign up, it will ask you and say, what are your interests, right? So that they can create like an experience for you, right? So people willingly share their data that way because they know that data is enriching the experience on your platform, right? So for example, as a brand, you want to run a survey, you want to collect some data, you tell them that, I want to know how you're experiencing our products. Is your teeth white? Are you having something like that? And then you give them something, right? Or maybe you give them a coupon or something like that, and they're excited about it, right? So that way you don't fall into the category of those who are like, infringing on people's data rights and things like that. So I think just being open about it is key. And also, collecting zero-party data, which is in interactions, and there's an incentive attached and things like that.
All right, thank you so very much. Let's go to the comment section right now. There's a comment for you, JD, from Olabode Fashola. So it's practically, okay, let me just show the comment down here. It's practically asking that some of the things that you've talked about, most times you see them within the Nigerian market. So, however, what happens if you are outside of the Francophone countries, like some of these French-speaking countries, are they being deployed in those markets as well? You can see the question at the bottom of.
Yeah. No, Olabode is very correct, right? Some of the features and products are available in key markets, but in the majority of Africa, it's not. And just because it's same thing I said about digital maturity, right? It's just that a vast amount of Africa is not developed digitally. So it doesn't make sense to go into those markets from a business standpoint, right? It's like there has to be a business case for entry into a market. And really, truly, that's why Aleph is here, to be honest, right? One of the things that we hope to do in 2025 is to offer local billing, for example, in Francophone Africa, right? Which means that you can pay for your ads in CFA, for example. So it kind of makes sense because some of these countries, it's very difficult to find dollars, to get dollars to pay for your ads, and that's for ads like that's like platforms like Meta. But if you have platforms like, let's say, X, no, not even X, maybe Spotify, TikTok, it's not even available at all. Ads are not available. I mean, we just got for Nigeria a few weeks ago. Let's say a month and a half ago, right? There had to be a business case for it before it actually started. And if Aleph was not even in market, I don't think TikTok will be here now, right? But now it's easier for them to come in because we are here. So I think with time, the market will start to progress. There's been a lot of improvements in markets. Like, I'm very proud of Kenya, for example. Kenya has grown really well. I think they're sort of ahead of us in terms of share of digital now. To be honest, yeah, they have grown really, really amazing well. So for me to be South Africa, it would then be Kenya, right? Ethiopia has a lot of potential. Ethiopia is a massive country, but in terms of digital, it's not there yet. So there's a lot of opportunity. But you see, the truth of it, I always say this: these big brands, these big companies, they've been hearing the fact that the future is Africa. Africa is the future. It's been for decades, but they need to make money, right? So you need to also like, people are still. I mean, big brands in Nigeria, for example, are spending 0.01% of your budget on digital. Can you imagine? Like, you're a massive brand, but you're spending all your money on CNN. Like, you see what I'm saying? And half of your users, the customers, are not even watching those channels. They're watching African Magic Yoruba or something like that. You see what I'm saying? You need to be aware, but maybe because it makes them look good, and the CEO travels to the US and they're like, oh, we see your brand. Maybe we need to move that from that African mentality to actually real solutions and real results. And then, things will get better.
Thank you for that. So I'm taking another question from the comment section again. Again from Olabode. So he asks, is there a way to know when, for example, TikTok advertising will be available in other markets? So that goes to you, JD.
Yeah, I mean, so I can say that, for example, I mean, this is not from with authority. I'm not quoting anybody. Just from my experience, the markets are usually start with South Africa. Well, let's say not Africa, because it's kind of merged with Middle East. So South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, next usually Ghana, right? So I'm hoping that Ghana would be next, and then when we look at Ghana, we can then start looking at maybe the likes of Rwanda, some of the East African countries. Then we start to go to French. So for me, I would say that give it next. TikTok is very aggressive, so I would say TikTok maybe next 1 year. There's some new markets will open once they kind of see the success, because you need to run for a year in a country, see what the results was like, take that as a playbook into the next market, right? So you don't make the same mistakes in terms of there's some regional learnings that you can get. But again, we are also talking to these clients. So if there is an opportunity, for example, in Francophone Africa that you have, you can reach out to me. My email was in my slide. You can reach out to me so I can make a business case to say that Olabode wants to spend $1 million in Ivory Coast, but why are you not giving him TikTok to advertise? You know what I'm saying? So I can make a business case, say this is the opportunity in the market, and for sure I can assure you, if that's for real, things will be accelerated.
All right, thank you very much. Olabode, you had that. You had it here first. Make a business case, and JD will help you push it forward, and you have whatever it is that you want. Coming back to Adora, I have a question here for you from Uzoma, who is asking, the Colgate campaign that you guys ran, was it done internally or was it executed by a PR team?
So it was done by our partners outside country. We all worked together for it, but it wasn't executed locally though. But the kids, the actors, everything was done, in Nigeria, but the executionist was, not Nigerian.
All right.
Yeah, we had our partners from outside the country, help shoot the video.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Moving forward, so I'm asking the two of you this question now. How can African marketers effectively adapt global marketing trend to suit local audience while staying authentic to their unique cultural context? Because one of the things that we've seen is that it's not always very easy to take a global campaign or a global idea and implement, just take it and say, oh, you want to implement in Nigeria without having to consider the cultural context within Nigeria. There are campaigns that work in Lagos that by the time you cross the Niger to the other side of the Niger doesn't work. There are campaigns that work in Lagos that will not work in Ilorin. I was having a conversation with a friend, a very good friend, who is also a digital strategist for one of the big agency. And he was telling me about a campaign that I was trying to run in Lagos. Then he got to Ilorin and that campaign did not work. They have to sit down and say, okay, what do we do in this case? So how do marketers, there's a lot that is happening on a global scale, right? How do we take all of this that is happening within a global scale and begin to implement? How do you implement within the local markets, putting into context the cultural nuances of our markets?
Should go first. Okay, should I go first?
Yeah, go first.
No, I think ladies first. Let me be gentle.
I think you can actually, because I mean, again, so I mean, from my own end, looking at it from the brand side, the brand angle, what I would say is, for us, what we've done is, we try to look at, if you look at the Let's Have a Talk video, you see how it was localized to suit, the current need states, to drive, that interest and all that. And same vein, what we've done is that most of the brands, you see that, they end up localizing, their assets to suit different regions. So for the North, we even had to shoot something, for the North, because at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier, we always try to tie, performance to business goals. So depending on the problem statements, for us, we needed to penetrate, the northern region. Even with the TVC we currently have, we had to now have a localized, assets, TVC assets, with the north. And we looked at, okay, which influencer can help us drive this penetration because of the problem statement, because we saw penetration still didn't grow. So by the time we looked at it, we looked at Alinuhu. Alinuhu is like one of the biggest shots, in the north. And then we had a localized content, which was run on Meta and YouTube, and on TV, northern channels as well. So we had that localized assets, to cater to that region because of the problem statement of the brand. And then we are kind of working on something, for Southwest region, even though we have our general, campaign material. So again, it still ties back to what the problem is, what the goal is, and I feel like that it addresses, because again, when we measured, the performance after business performance after doing this, we saw an uplift. It might not be so much because it's a very short period of time, but there was, an uplift, which was very important to us. So yeah, I think that's it from my end. So I'll allow Jesus.
JD.
Just to add to that, right? So, I mean, with some sense of humility, I've been running we call it global strategies. So, global strategies, you take your global and then you mix with local. For me, first thing is that there's so much ideas in the West, right? Typically, Nigerians are. I would use Nigeria for example. Nigerians are very good with consuming. We're very good consuming. We're also very good with what's the word now? Adoption, right? So, for example, when Meta wants to release a new feature on Instagram, a lot of times they test it in Africa. People don't know this. They test in Africa before they actually make it mainstream in the West, because they
Interesting.
know that Nigerians will use it. If you want to launch threads, you have to, if you leave Nigeria out, you will not get a critical mass. We are over 200 million people. Remember, over 2 million people. You want to test, you want to stress test that product. You want to get it. Do you know that the first time we launched Instagram, people started doing this? I don't know if you noticed, they started doing this thing where they will take a screenshot of your product on Instagram. If you're selling shoes or bags or whatever, they'll take a picture of it, and then they'll send you a message on WhatsApp and say that, is this product I want? Do you have this in this size? Right? And then the buyer would then, so the seller would then send you the account number that you make payments, all of that. So Meta started to see all of this new user behavior, right? And then that's when they started to see opportunities for you to actually shop right there on Instagram, because they saw that people were creating another ecosystem outside of what was built, and then it informed them that, oh, there's another thing we can build on top of this, that will allow us to look at what is happening with TikTok Live. See, I mean, I don't want to go too much into detail, but there's a lot that happens in the West that does well here, right? But in terms of just in the cultural nuances, that's the real McCoy. That's the real thing, right? In the sense that you need to understand the market. You need to understand, even understanding your user will allow you know what platform to use and what not to use. If, for example, AudioMark is very good in the North, right? Do you know what I'm saying? So if I want to run an ad, for example, and I want to target Northern Nigeria, right? Maybe I will not use Spotify. Maybe I'll use the North, because if you look at the size of the North on AudioMark, it's a massive. I don't know why, but it's a massive audience in the North, right? So, and for example, if I want to target the guys in the North as well, MTN. If I use MTN ads, right, which we're launching as well in maybe next few months, right, it's more suitable for me to use, right, than maybe trying to use Meta, to be honest. So those are the sort of nuances we need to put into perspective. So, I mean, you've seen a lot of global brands. For example, let's say Coca-Cola. The truth is, the material might be produced in South Africa or where have you, but the team can then say, listen, in Nigeria is a price sensitive market, right? So that's a local nuance. So we want to make sure that we touch on the price points of the products. I think that's one of the ways where actually Colgate actually succeeds, is that they know that Nigerian is a price sensitive market. When you're entering the market and you're trying to create, maybe you take a TVC from India or somewhere like that, right? You need to put that price points conversation there, because I would pay attention to know that it's cheaper than a competition.
All right. There are a lot of questions in the comment section. Unfortunately, we might not be able to take every one of it. I want to thank every single person that have joined us today. Please keep your conversation coming. You can go ahead, just drop your questions. Send us an email at support@marketinganalytics.africa. We are going to be uploading this video on our YouTube channel, as well as on our platform, as well as the presentation from JD. You will also be able to get his email address if you want to reach him from the presentation once you have access to it. Thank you very much, JD. Thank you, Adora. I really want to appreciate you guys for making it, taking our time to be at this wonderful afternoon. And to our wonderful audience who engage and ask so much question to ask, we want to say a very big thank you for also being here with us this afternoon. Next month, we promise to make it also very interesting. We'll bring in another speaker who is coming to also share with us practical aspects of another aspect of marketing and what we need to do in this in our region majorly. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you very, very much, and have a wonderful rest of the day.